Okay, so what I've done here is I've written down the problem that you were provided, as well as a few steps that I went through the day that I taught this, because long division with polynomials very much resembles what I like to call old school division that we've been doing forever and ever. Like if I came to you and I said, hey, what's 763 divided by... I don't know, what do we want to do? 11. You would go, hey, does 11 go into 7? No, but 11 goes into 76 6 times without going over. That is 66. You would then subtract 6 minus 6 is 0, 7 minus 6 is 1. Then you would bring down your 3. 11 goes into 103 9 times without going over, so it would be 99. You would subtract and you would have a remainder of 4. So the steps that I did as far as going, hey, how many times does 11 go into 76 and getting 9, that would be considered dividing, basically. 76 divided by 11 is 6. Then we multiplied 6 times 11 to get 66. Then we subtracted 76 minus 66 to get 10, and then we bring down the 3. So our process with synthetic division, long division, very much resembles that, okay? So with long division of polynomials, the first thing you want to make sure and do is that your dividend, like they like to call it, one of those math words, needs to be written in like standard form, general form, whatever lingo they use. But basically we want to get that highest power leading it off. So the particular problem that you emailed me about wants you to begin by rewriting your dividend. Well, that would just require us doing 5x cubed plus 3x minus 6. Okay, so first things first, you do want them in that descending order that I talked about. The other thing to be aware of is that you're kind of missing a term. It goes from x cubed down to x. So if you can think about what you're missing, it would have to be your x squared term. So whether it be long division or synthetic division, we've got to account for any missing terms that we have, because that would just be like us saying that 108 is the same as 18. And we all know that they're not. You have that space filler, kind of important 0. So we're going to take care of that as well. So we're going to say our dividend is 5x cubed plus 0x squared plus 3x minus 6. So that is part of your answer. And then what you're going to see me doing is basically the process for long division, because I can't see the rest of what's being asked of you. So I only assume that you need to actually work the problem out. So here we go. X plus 6, and we think about getting it into these two guys. What do we need to do to the x to get it to become a 5x cubed? Well, 5x squared is what we would multiply by. So 5x squared times x is 5x cubed. 5x squared times 6 is 30x. And I like to put my bar there and put my subtraction sign, and sometimes even like to put that in parentheses to remind myself that all of this is being subtracted, okay? So 0x squared minus the 30x, or I should say 30x squared, because it was x squared times 6. So 0x squared minus 30x squared is negative 30x squared. The 5x cubed minus the 5x cubed is, of course, 0, nothing. Now we're going to bring down our 3x. So trying to get an x to become a negative 30x squared would get accomplished by doing negative 30x. So negative 30x times x is negative 30x squared. Negative 30x times 6 would be negative 180x. And remember, our process for division says at this point that we subtract. So 3x minus a negative 180x, when you subtract a negative, it's just like adding. So that's positive 183x. Negative 30x minus a negative 30. Subtracting a negative again is like adding. So that's 0. So the last thing we need to do is bring down our negative 6. X, trying to become a 183x, would have to get multiplied by 183. So 183 times x is 183x. And then 183 times 6. I don't have my calculator back here, so I'm going to be doing this by hand. Giant number there. So yeah, that's about right, because that's about 200 times 6. Okay, so you get 1,098 for that one. Okay, so plus 1,098, and all of this is being subtracted. So negative 6 minus the 1,098 should put you back at negative 1104, if I'm doing that calculation correctly. And then 183x minus 183x leaves you with nothing. So you do end up having a remainder here, depending on how they ask you to write your answer. Some of them just want the simple remainder typed out. Some of them want it written as a combination of your quotient with your remainder. So if it's written as a combination of your quotient with your remainder, you would put your remainder over, and you could do plus and negative. Some of them, like I said, depending on the program, plus the negative 1104 divided by x plus 6. Some of them just want your quotient typed in like an answer bar, and then your remainder typed by itself. And if that's the case,